please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. One of these days I'm going to have to figure out the history of the pledge and public school board meetings and figure that one out. But, all right, the first business is we need a motion for the clerk pro tem to assign Laura Mitchell as the clerk pro tem.
So moved. Second.
Okay, and be it resolved that the Board of Education, Garrison Union Free School District hereby appoints Laura Mitchell to serve as the clerk pro tem for July 17, 2019 special meeting of the Board of Education. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? You're in. All right. Up first, discussion items, non-resident tuition. I thought I would frame this discussion simply by saying that a neighbor of ours, whose children are enrolled in another school district, initiated a conversation regarding whether we would accept students outside the district in what is technically called non-resident tuition. It is a practice that is done in many districts that accept outside residents. The cost of the tuition is determined by a formula set up by the state called the Seneca formula, right? And we've had many emails, a lot of research on this, and I guess the question I want to pose is there any member of the board parent present that feels strongly for or strongly against the idea of NRT, or is there a consensus of gray? And we discussed this, which was Joy Division's first name of their album, Consensus of Gray, but yes.
I just have some questions. We do have a policy currently around this issue. So I think it might be something that the policy committee could then take up if we were to revise the policy. And my questions are mostly legal questions as to if we take a student and then we choose that we can't keep that student, what are the legal ramifications? Are there cases being processed through the courts right now that might put our district at liability? But I'm sure those are all things we could research and answer and could be done in committee.
Okay.
I totally agree with that. I think we need to do this. I don't feel qualified or knowledgeable enough about the pros and cons of this to make a decision on it. This point.
Vice President?
Very much in the gray. I have specific questions, so I agree with both Sarah and David. We've looked at, we've shared amongst ourselves a number of links to other school districts that do adopt a non-resident tuition policy. What I realized I didn't look at were districts comparable to our size, because I think that's what always changes for us, is that Garrison is so uniquely small, and as we know, one or two students can greatly change and even skew the whole grade and what our faculty requirements are. So I'd be curious if Mechanical Hills has the same policy. And Sarah, you may be more familiar with smaller districts just from your most recent board training. It might be worth it to look at some of schools in the upstate New York region that are similar in size. Because it's not the same to look at Lakeland's policy when we're a vastly different size school.
Currently has 5,500 students enrolled, whereas we have about 200.
Yeah.
But Mechanical Hills is 290, so they are comparable. Their policy also addresses some other issues that we might want to look at in terms of if we are going to revisit this policy, it covers everything from foster children to how we bill that those things out. So if we're going to go through the process, we should look at all the different aspects and what happens when one parent moves out of district and one parent stays in district, things like that.
Yeah, just to be clear, the NRT covered there's a lot of freedom or a lot of liberty that in shaping that policy, only because obviously as a public institution, we're obligated to take all residents, but as a public institution, we're not obligated to take residents outside of the district. So it allows for a certain leeway in determining enrollments and decisions along that. Is that about right? Okay. Laura, do you have any particular things to add on this?
No, I think it's good to have comparable, well, yeah, I guess, comparable districts because of their smallness, but I think also the larger districts have a lot to offer because they've gone through they have larger options that we maybe could pick from, that they're using examples of who, what, where, and how, and can we use them as well to tailor it towards our needs as well. Just as we're doing with the code of conduct, we're looking at big systems and we're looking at small systems and seeing where do we fit in there, what can we use to inform our decisions that we're making. So I think, yes, comparable ones, but I also think, looking at medium and large districts as well will help inform us just as much.
But the reason that this comes up as an issue is because there are several people, I guess in the Continental Village area, who feel as if they're part of the Garrison community, but their kids are obligated to go to schools in Putnam Valley. Lakeland, a community that they don't feel part of. So all the demand comes from those people for their request. Yeah.
I would say that I do feel rather strongly that if we do open it up, we do not limit it to
We don't
one
limit it to that.
group. We send our kids to high school across the river. Kids from across the river wish to come to our school and pay the tuition. That is our policy. It should not be exclusive to one small group of people. It should be open.
Okay, so if I was to summarize the discussion that's been going on via this particular topic over the course of I don't know how many months we've been bantering around, I'd like to come to a definitive conclusion on it. So I think what I want to do is refer this to committee, and what I would ask the policy committee, what I would ask the chair of the policy committee, Sarah Torney, to either interview individually or a small group, go through the pros and cons of a yes versus a no, under what conditions yes, under what stipulations no, so that we can sort of lay it all out for everybody individually, process this at the committee level, interview individuals, board members via the committee, and then come to the board on August 21, if possible, and present to us a recommendation, at which time we can make a decision whether to accept the recommendation or adopt it.
Well, we should bring Sue into this conversation, right? Because
We need to form
the financial implications of this are beyond me. I don't know whether this is a plus or a minus for us.
Laura, do you know what the Seneca Falls formula is for our school? Or do you know what the Seneca Falls formula for tuition would be for our district?
I can look it up for you.
Okay.
It's on the state website, but I'll show you
I don't want
the
to.
pathway to that.
I don't want to misquote, but I want to say that it's in the 22, 23 realm. I just want to say.
Listed as 23 in this document from the Phillipstown Community College.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Okay.
But I think that's a good point, just to bring Sue in. Also, we have transportation, special ed, class size.
Extracurricular
And then financial.
activities,
Yes.
siblings.
Yeah, so there are a lot of moving pieces in this.
Most
Yeah.
of the policies that I've read have a stipulation for siblings. So it's really about crafting an articulate, carefully messaged policy that takes into account all the different possibilities. And to point out that we do have a policy on this currently that can be referenced.
Right. Okay. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, terrific. All right, next up. Board vacancies. As we are well aware, we've had 2 recent resignations, and that leaves up 2 spots on the board. It was discussed or mentioned previously that we could pursue a number of options. One option would be to appoint some folks to the board. One would be to hold a special election. Another would be to revisit the possibility of reducing the board to 5. These are all possibilities laid out because we have this option. We have this circumstance that allows us to make a decision. Some things are just dead-end arguments that we sort of explore just for the purposes of being thorough and diligent. And I'm just wondering where everybody stands at this point. So, David, do you have an opinion?
We should probably make it clear, though, that this is not the time to mention any specific names, if I'm correct in
Thank you,
that.
Courtney. What we're deciding, what we're going to discuss at this moment is how to proceed with the board vacancies, not who would possibly fill them or whatever. Do you have a position on the matter?
Yeah, I think my inclination is to appoint two people. I'm not ready to decide that we should reduce the number of board members to 5. I think Jess made an interesting point about sort of the dangers of having too small a board. And so and I don't think we want to do a special election now. I mean, I don't think we're ready to undertake that. So I guess I'd be in favor of appointing two people.
Jill?
I also don't favor trying to have a resolution go to the voters to reduce the board size to 5. I think we have at least 2 of us who work in the city, and if we can't attend for some reason, then we won't have a quorum with 3 members.
Well, if we reduced it to 5, we would have a quorum of 3. Right now, we have to have a quorum, as I understand, we have to have a quorum of 4 because we have a 7-member board. Even though we're 5, we have to have a quorum of 4. So that imposes a certain amount of constraints upon us. Court, thoughts?
Similarly, I think if we wanted to discuss going to a 5-person board, I think it's sort of like the NRT. That warrants further discussion to determine exactly why, rather than just because the circumstances are upon us. I'm curious also about and probably Beth has the answers, maybe Laura, you do, of how that works. I know we have this potential referendum in September, but that's not something I think that you could just get tacked on. So that would be, in theory, if we wanted to go to a 5-person board, that would be for next May. So we have time to decide that, but in the meantime, we have 10 months before that, which we are a 7-person board with only 5 members. So it's almost like 2 questions. One is what to do for right now, for the coming school year, and secondly, if we want to make a choice for going forward. In terms of this coming year, I'm a fan of potentially of appointing 2 people. But I'm hesitant. I think if we were to appoint people, I think that they should have, ideally, previous school board member experience. Otherwise, I want to keep the process as fair and open and equitable as possible, so that it could never be said that any one of us hand-picked, selected somebody. So if it is somebody if we were to approach former board members, if that was a decision. But otherwise, I think we should look at what it would take to hold an election for these positions. And again, I don't know if we can, if there's enough time to tack it on to the September referendum and how that complicates that.
I think we're right up against the deadline for having a special election. And is that about right?
You're right, we'd have to know right now.
We'd have to know right now.
Legal notices and.
Yeah, and then people would have to get the signatures and given the.
Right, how long, can we back it out? What's the minimum amount of time for somebody to turn in a petition for their, 25 signatures?
It's 1 month before, so say, or about 5 weeks, I think, so it'd be August to get the signatures to turn it in for us. If we were to tack the election on to a September, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
But according to the council, they said most boards, they advise doing an appointment. And just be mindful of what's the rationale to have the election. So if there's a strong rationale to move forward with it, we can make it happen on September 24th. But what are the pros and cons? And they're willing to have conversations with us to sort of tell you what's been happening in other districts and why most boards choose to do the appointment road instead of the special election.
There's the drawback to the special election might be that in the summer people are traveling, so they can't, they might not even be, they haven't even had time to decide whether they
They're not-
want to do this.
Right, they're not thinking about school just yet.
And if they want to compete for a spot on the board, that comes up every May. And that opportunity will come up with 3 spots come this May. There'll be 3 spots up for election.
That's true.
So, on the topic of reducing to 5, I've been thinking about it since the last meeting, and going forward with the amount of committee work we're looking at, I think we would be best served by having 7 members. And also to the point that I think we need to make it fair because we're a commuting town, people need to be able to commute and get back here, and if they miss a meeting or stuck or a train gets stuck, that we're not being unfair to the people who are working. That's sort of the nature of our community.
Okay.
And then I also, I do kind of disagree on that appointment though, that I think it's an opportunity to get somebody who's new and excited on the board versus going back to somebody who's been on the board previously, who might be able to try it out. Because if we appoint now, correct me if I'm wrong, they're on till May. And then they have to run for the seat. So it's a good way to try it out, see if it works, see if they're so excited once they've done this for 2 months that they,
That's just you, Sarah.
It's
That's
good to
just
scare
you.
off. It's good to scare off a few people too. Yeah. So
That's a good point.
let me summarize to say this, that there is we don't need to talk about how we constitute the vacancies at this moment. Just that what I'd like to do is make a decision today. It's an action item. I would like to make a decision on whether we go with the appointment route or whether we go with the special election route. It seems to me that shrinking the board at this moment is off the table, correct? We all in agreement on that? Fine enough. So if we boil it down to special election versus appointment,
I'll move that we make 2 appointments.
okay.
Second.
Cool with that? All right. So let's just perfect segue into action items. How about that? Right? Thank you, David, for looking for the segue. Okay, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Garrison Union Free School District moves to accept letters of interest from eligible residents of the district to fill 2 board seats which are vacant due to the resignations of Raymond O'Rourke and Diana Smithberg. Specific procedures will be posted on the district website and noticed in the district's official newspapers. And I would also add that our district clerk, Elizabeth Murphy, is a wonderful resource for this, as well as the superintendent. Okay, so be it resolved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? And we're through the door. Excellent. Okay, great. We have to approve committee assignments, okay? It's the second action item here, and we're really close to being through this particular meeting. Okay, so I need the best, wholesomest, most voluntary board members to step forward here. We have a number of committees to deal with here. I've been on the audit committee, and I can continue with that. Laura, can you note that, please?
Yeah.
As district clerk. Okay. Finance committee, does anyone feel Courtney, you've been serving on the finance committee, want to pass it off to?
Sure.
Yeah. Anyone want to take up finance? Jill, you have any interest in the finance? Audit and finance sit side by side, correct, in their meeting schedule?
They're both a half hour, one will start 6 and then 6:30 and then 6:30 to 7.
Okay, I will take that one as well.
Sarah, you had something to say.
Oh, I wanted to join the audit committee, but if they're together, then I would be willing to join both.
Oop, okay, Sarah, but
But I don't know as though the audit committee was more, I feel like it's something I could really
Sarah,
learn from.
as president of the board, I want to caution you against overcommitment.
Yes, that's what I heard.
Because policy committee, Sarah is currently chairing it. Who else is on the policy committee?
I am on the policy committee.
Courtney, right? Laura, you're also on policy committee?
Correct.
Excellent.
And that's advisory.
That's advising. Terrific. Facilities committee. I have been on the facilities committee for a number of years. Jill, you've been on the facilities committee. You want to stay on facilities committee?
I would like to stay on facilities.
That's most excellent, because I might want to step off for that one, okay? Planning committee, this has been a on-off dormant committee. It is going to be on, and I will volunteer myself. Anyone else want to be on the planning committee?
What is the planning committee do? Plan?
They plan. What a planning committee does is help design the kind of architecture necessary to fulfill the district's goals. So they look at things like learning outcomes, dispositions or skills, knowledge perhaps we want to achieve, attributes of graduates, things that educators are good at, developing, and sort of you build the architecture for the plan, you come up with, you facilitate a process in which the district identifies goals, and then the superintendent and the administration execute the plan.
I'll volunteer for that.
You're going to volunteer for that, Mr. Gilbert?
I am, Mr. Vogt.
Okay. Excellent. I know some people, perhaps in this community, are really great at planning and developing focus groups and whatnot. Lots of them. Some people I know in this group. All right? David Gilbert. Anyone else want to join the planning committee?
I might.
You might.
I would,
There's other areas to serve. I just want you to know.
Maybe
Yeah.
what you should do, James, is to read off all the committees. So
We're done for now. We have a school committee that we need to, we have school committees that need perhaps our participation and our presence, okay? So that's a different discussion.
and that would be sort of, that's what parents sign up for at back to school. That's
Absolutely.
education, that's technology,
Right.
that's
And
health
board
and wellness.
members are invited to join as participants in that, and I think I want to, at our retreat, perhaps we can talk a little bit about that, expectations for presence of board within the community, et cetera.
Can I run through them just with names?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so on the audit, we have Sarah and James.
Yeah.
Finance, we have Courtney. Anybody else? Board member?
No, finance, we have not Courtney. We have Sarah.
Okay.
We have James. We're kicking Sarah off the audit committee for the moment, okay?
So it's,
Yeah, it's just James.
Okay.
Do we need another person? You would like that?
well, we can have it up to at least 3.
All right, let's
So
do
it's-
this. We'll alternate meetings.
Audit, finance?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll alternate attendance and whatnot, okay? Excellent. Does that make sense? I don't want to, destroy new board members with too much committee work.
Then we have facilities, Jill.
Correct, Linda?
Anybody else?
Not at this moment.
Policy, Sarah, Courtney, Laura. Planning, we have James, Laura, David. Courtney was a question mark?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Courtney, maybe so,
I
okay?
would join planning if you need another on planning.
You sure?
well, it says 1 to 3 board members, how about you and I alternate?
Well,
Or depending on, or is that,
let's keep that one stable. All right, so perhaps we can, yeah? What, you feeling it at some point?
it's
right,
all you
so-
if you want it, Jill. Or
Yeah.
if like you can't make a meeting, I can go in your place or something, I don't know.
We want to try to create a certain amount of stability, but we're going to call it Courtney and Jill as an alternate. How's that? All right? All right, good enough. There's also this question of a personnel committee that came up recently. I want to, at this moment, if it's possible, to direct the superintendent to review different personnel committees within different school districts and what they do and don't do. We currently do not have one. And I think maybe it might be reasonable, okay, to explore that question, whether we should add a personnel committee. Okay? So this is how I do it, right? This is my first directive, right? We would like to direct the superintendent of schools to investigate the role of personnel committee.
And what exactly do they do?
That's what we don't know.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna
Right,
find out.
we're gonna find out. we've been advised that it might be helpful for us. And now we're wondering, okay, how? So, investigate. Sound good? All right. Okay, be it resolved that the Board of Education accept the committee membership as laid out.
Seconded.
Seconded? Okay. All right.
So moved. Sorry.
So moved.
Seconded.
Excellent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? And the ayes have it. Those are the committee memberships as we see it. If you wish to serve on a committee and would like to add your name as an alternate or in some capacity, or you would like to replace or trade committees, please inform the district clerk because we have to approve that publicly. Okay? Sound good? Just as a cautionary note, not cautionary, as an advising note, it might be that the policy committee especially, I've met with and discussed this with Sarah on a number of occasions, as chair of that committee, part of it will be vetting policy, but also looking at ways of proceduralizing, creating procedures out of our policies that make sense for us. What I would like every committee to do is determine goals for themselves about what each committee wants to accomplish during the year. What would we like to accomplish during the year? Then I would like the committees to report to us what they plan on doing, and at that point, they can determine a strategy for accomplishing their goals, and they can report back about how those goals were accomplished. The reason I would like to do this is too often we get lost in the day-to-day of monthly agendas, and committee work is a good way to keep us moving forward without waiting for the next board meeting. So I would like to empower committee work a little bit more and give us all roles within our expertise and our interests with the board so that we can sort of execute our superpowers, as Jill was communicating to us, execute our superpowers. All right, so I feel like that's a perfectly way to reorient the board, which is rather new, and I think that would be a positive step. Okay, all right. Laura, is that it? All right. Language here. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of Garrison Union Free School District adjourns to executive session to discuss the employment history of particular individuals. And be it resolved that the Board of Education will not be taking up any public matter, and therefore the adjournment of executive session is the adjournment of the meeting. That means we won't be coming back here, and we have nothing to say after executive session. Okay? So we're not leaving anybody hanging. I invite the community to show interest in committee work at the school level, at the board level if possible. We have certain restrictions and we have certain practices we have to follow, but we invite the public to get involved with the school. The best way to understand a community is to be part of it, and the school community is no different. Being part of it means to work and collaborate with the people that are here day to day and understand the difficulties, the benefits, the blessings of what goes on within any particular organization. So that is it. All in favor of adjourning? Say aye.
Aye.
Nays? We'll find out here. All right. So moved. All right, we pass. Okay?
31 minutes, impressive.
It was.
I was going to say something about the fact that the president of the Board of Education was also a poet. Used the term proceduralizing.
It is a word.
But I held my tongue.
Sarah?
We confirmed this is a word, we looked it up.
Proceduralizing.
Yes, it is a word, I have the definition, James emailed it to me the other day.
Of course you did.
You're going to use a word out of order? You kid. Best words, best orders, they call it. That's the
I'm looking
definition
at
of
the
poetry.
sheet,
Best words,
proceduralizing
best
is
orders.
crazy. Yeah.
Great.
It's the best proceduralizing.
Okay,